Oh, and they couldn't hear me until just now. I've been on mute.
You can't see your dad's Twitter? Oh, so it goes.
I need to see if I can see it. I'm trying to switch to the right tab here. I got a tab for every day of the week.
You show up.
You have to tab for like every day of the week.
Actually, that's about right. Yeah.
You'd be so proud of him.
Wow. Wow. The 12-step program is really paying off.
Yeah. We just started this point. That's the only way. Just give us some data. I'll be up there.
So I think I've got a link here for you guys. I'm going to drop it in the Google Meet. And for anybody who might be watching on Facebook or YouTube, we're doing this just because these guys don't have the video link yet. Show them what you're seeing right now. I just realized this is not the right link. This is the link for... This always trips me up. For like the studio management version. I don't know. I'm not very competent at YouTube yet. Give me a second. You might be able to just go to my YouTube channel and grab it from there.
I have to wonder if there's some sort of portable secondary monitor that I can get.
Portable, huh?
Yeah, portable, because I find myself traveling a lot, and I have a second monitor at Sierra, I have a second monitor at home, but I'm at my mom's this week, and I do not have a second monitor. And yesterday, when I was trying to look at your code, it was murder on this tiny little screen.
Yeah, I know they make portable monitors. I've seen a couple actually, so I was looking into getting them too. I just put a link to the last few.
Huh.
Thank
you, sir. Very much obliged.
Yeah, I usually have to use the channel. One of the 20 tabs open.
Yeah, I had it open too. I just found it. It was actually in the same window as the Meet, but because there were 208 other tabs open,
You need to just go play that.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I never hear any music.
Oh, it's because he's
Audio on the live stream.
yeah, he's got the audio on the live stream, exactly. So I wore my green hat because it's St. Patty's Day and I wanted to celebrate, but I'm also using a green screen to show the VieDay background behind my stream here. So my hat is effectively invisible. It's not as festive as I'd hoped.
Why did it say level 3?
That is the company that gave me this free hat. The feathers I added myself, but I don't know if anybody on the stream can make that out, but it does indeed say level 3. They're like one of the backbone internet service providers, and I met some of their guys over at Gartner Symposium event. Free plug to the Gartner guys.
Yeah, so everybody's watching this and want to sponsor your video right now.
Yeah, and I know Gartner really needs the business too, so I want to make sure I give them that free plug just to help them out a little bit. All right, so why don't we jump into the code and see where we left off? I want to see if those commits that I was working on actually made it out there. Real quick, just to read Rob into the situation, I'm going to dive over to the, or not Rob, sorry, Steve rather. I'm going to dive into the Cypress test over here and just show where we left off with that, because what we did is basically added a couple of tests that said how we wanted everything to be ordered. Because there's no concept of time associated with each of these entries, because we had made a decision earlier on to say, let's not worry about when somebody checked something or didn't check it. We really only care about what day it was associated with. And if it exists, it exists. And if it doesn't exist, then it's, we have a checked, and then we have, I think, a separate item to represent. Well, let's look at the schema, actually. Let's not make any assumptions, because I obviously don't remember. Let's jump into what magic window do we need for that. Here we go. Modify the checklist schema. Or if you're feeling peculiar, you can call it a schema and have everyone in the room look at you funny. Jeff the giraffe pronounces it Jif.
Right.
somebody on my team called it a GIF the other day, and I was glad I was on mute because I chuckled. Pretty loudly.
I call them GIFs. One of my offshore teammates, he also calls them GIFs.
So you're fans of graphics then?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you must have missed Barack Obama's presidential executive order declaring that they are forever more GIFs.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds like the kind of frivolous thing that you would use an executive order to do, right?
Well, I mean, they're not going to end the filibuster, so you got to do something with your time. Okay, so now we're looking at our Hasura, and what I'm looking for here is we have a list of actions, things that can be checked, and then it looks like we do have a timestamp here. We should probably make our mock look a little bit more like this, or vice versa. Or I guess we can request the data in a way that is shaped the way that we want it to, or massage it into the shape that we want it to be in. So what are we thinking? Is it more important to have it in alphabetical order, or is it more important to have it in a time-stamped format? I think this is probably fine.
I guess it depends on your OCD.
Yeah. I personally put alphabetical, but that's just not OCD. Maybe you want to give users the option to switch between alphabetical or this one.
That could be a future state. Yeah, I could see that happening. Maybe have settings that are particular to a given view, so that you have little gears on a particular view directly, as opposed to one massive settings under the user profile where everything is, you know, hugely configurable. Those get very quickly difficult to manage. So if I wanted to make that level of configuration available, I'd want to tie it to the view directly. But yeah, that's a thought. Let's keep it simple for now. So I think we have a good convention where we're at there. What about maybe just creating a couple of records here and getting our view to a state where we can replace our mock with pulling down some of the items from this list. So, you know, maybe what I'd like to see here, and, you know, that begs the question. I wrote some tests here from Cypress. I think we have an account associated with Cypress test here, so I'm going to enter them into my database and see if Cypress actually is going to pull those down over the wire. In which case, do we even want to worry about having mocks for our Cypress tests for GraphQL when we can use those same mocks for unit tests later on? So let's put a pin in that question, because that would demand that anywhere that is running our Cypress test has access to our GraphQL service and has a valid token. So that's, you know, a question that I have to kind of figure out. Another thing that I want to figure out is where are we going to store that information securely? You know, ideally somewhere tied to the deployment. So we're using Circle CI. I wouldn't want to continue keeping any keys that are used even to access that test account in a repository. I think that's, you know, not a good pattern to follow. So those are things that we're thinking about in the immediate future. Stuff that food for thought for later. For right now, let's just stay on Hasura here, and let's start by adding a few actions for everybody, and then maybe that changes our tests, or maybe we do use the GraphQL stub. I'm not sure. I have to think that over for a minute. I think I would like to stub out at least some of this, so if for no other reason than to work out the pattern and be able to use it later. But for the time being, since we have no code right now that is reading this type of information, let's go ahead and try and create a couple of records here and see if we can get that data down and do something with that. So let's insert a couple of rows here. And updated by author ID, those are all going to be defaulted. I want to leave this one null. It's not going to let me do that. I'm wondering, in that case, if we need something here that says it's for everyone. maybe we'll use that pinned boolean and just change the name of it, and that will represent whether or not it belongs to everyone. I like that idea, because we won't need the pinned concept if we're using priority. So let's make this global.
I thought pinned was for items that people thought they were going to do every day.
Well, no, I think frequency is going to be used for that.
Okay.
I like doing these types of data modifications before we add a whole lot of data. It's always easier to think through and massage your data model ahead of time. Okay, so that solves the problem of not worrying about, since author ID is not nullable, and that's fine. I don't mind leaving it that way. This way we can just simply say if it's global or not with that flag. What are some of the ones that we want to add here? Let's go with what do you think? Yeah, I'll leave that lowercase just so that we don't think it's 640 ounces. And then what do we want to do for a description? This one will be true. Deleted can be the default, which should be false. Alright. This will be daily. UUID. Shouldn't it just create one for me? I'm not sure. Let me see what my default is for that. Alrighty. Okay, so finally got this thing to load here. I actually want to be on the Modify tab here to take a look at what the default is when we create a new record. It should be a function, something along the lines of generate new UUID. Yeah, generate random UUID. I don't know why it gave me a hard time on that. Let's go back to that other tab and see what's going on here. Invalid input syntax for type UUID, empty string. That's really strange. I don't think I need to do anything like that. I don't remember doing anything like that last time. What is the deal? What did I do wrong here? I'll go back to one of the sources that I'm working from here. I've been working from the Hasura blog for a lot of this stuff too, to get a handle on how Hasura works and just kind of follow along with something. It always makes it easier, you know? I don't know what's going on here. It's like Murphy's Law. I'm just getting kind of big blank blocks on this screen here. What flavor you got in the chamber there, Rob?
This is watermelon ED.
It sounds like a nice taste. I'm a little jealous. Yeah, this system is dogging, man. I got to replace this with a little bit more of a workhorse if I'm going to be doing this right. I don't know what the deal is. I wonder if I can just put this function name in here. I'm gonna try that. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I don't think the issue is with the ID field. I think the issue is with that each of these are updated by an author ID are meant to refer to a particular user. So I think we should make those nullable, because in the instance where we are editing them like we are right now in the back end, they won't have a value. So I'm going to go ahead and edit that schema for that to make those nullable, the two columns here, and that should hopefully make this no longer a problem. Okay, so who's the author? Nobody. Who updated it? Nobody. It's a secret. These are global fields. They don't necessarily need those types of values. So we're not going to worry about that at this stage. So I'm going to copy this data into another temporary window that you guys won't see on the live stream, just so that I can refresh. And then those fields will be editable again. Right now, the updated by an author ID, I can't select null because Hasura is being intelligent about what's allowable and what's not. So now it should at some point refresh here.
It all started with the signature with the
That should already be part of it, I think, but we don't want to generate random IDs when it comes to author or updated by, because those are foreign keyed against the user table, so they have to be valid.
Every station, every channel, every blog and avenue. It's close to what I say to you. The time is now, wake up, open your eyes. The time is see the truth.
So in that case, we won't need the global field either, because in that case, anything with a null author is global. So I'm going to go ahead and blow that off in a minute anyways. I think this should work this time. Come on, work. Yes, that worked. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of that extra column. I don't think we need it. Part of the reason why is because I remembered that when we set up the permissions earlier for Hasura, and I'll dive over there real quick so you guys can see what that looks like, that under the permissions section, we said that the type of data that a user can query for checklist actions are the ones where they're the author or the author is null. And since we already went to the trouble of setting that up, I didn't want to, have to recalibrate that for the permission of, or for the additional column of the global or not scenario. So I'm just pulling that open for anybody who didn't get a chance to see that originally. That the columns allowed to be selected are ID, created at, updated at, name, description, priority, global, frequency. They can't select deleted because they don't need to know whether or not deleted is true, because they're only allowed to select them. Similarly, they're only allowed to select the rows where the author is null or the author is the current user. So we're going to go ahead and just blow that other column off. We don't need it. Okay, so I can't drop them because the permission checks are saying there are still permissions that afford rights to that. That's fair. So we'll go ahead and fix those real quick. It should be under columns, actually. I want to make sure that nothing refers to this if we're going to get rid of it. So we'll save the permissions there. Column select permissions, make sure nothing refers to this. Column update permissions. I don't think it'll be in column update anyways, because they weren't allowed to say that something can be global. Oh, they were. Oh, that's because previously it was called pinned, that's why. Cool, so now we should be able to delete that column. All right. Get out of here, you. Be gone. And it's gone. Next up, we'll go ahead and insert maybe a couple more records, and then we can pull that data down, and then maybe if we have a little time, we'll take a look at what it would take to mock or stub out the GraphQL signature that's coming in. So what else? Drink enough water, that's one of them. How about avoid screens 2 hours before bed? Okay. This will be daily. I should probably make that a default. These will both be null. Looks good to me. What do you guys think?
It's good.
Yeah, looks on me. Oh, you're on mute. Yeah, I said it looks good.
Cool.
What's the name of those juices? Green number 1 in the spirit of simplicity.
What else? What else do we want to do on a daily basis? I had a whole list of them here. Let me pull that up. See what my daily checklist items were, and then that'll make it easy for me to populate this quickly. Cool. Let's do okay. About okay, so we should have, if I browse the rows here, we should have some results here that are global for everybody. Drink enough water, avoid screens before bed, maintain good posture. I think I'm gonna edit one of these records here slightly. I mean, it's not really hugely important, but this sort of makes this easy enough that let me just make a slight change here. We'll say or more. Easy, done. Okay, and then let's put in some test rows here, because I want to try and see what we would see for our given user. Let's go ahead and add some records under checked. So we should be able to say whether somebody checked something on a particular date. And I'm not too concerned about this really specific date format. Although I guess we do care about time zone, but we don't really care about time. Wondering if maybe there's a date with time zone that might be better for us, or just date. And I think we can add another primary key here, or at least another unique key rather, because there should only ever be one state for date, user, and action ID. So what I've done now is I've selected checked on user ID and action ID, and this creates a unique key for those three items, saying that there will only ever be one record correlating those three data points. That can potentially make it easier for us to index against that value and get items that match that exact signature. So let's go ahead and insert a couple items here. And this will be a little easier if I look these items up. So I'm going to get the user ID and the action ID from another tab here. Another Geo original here, In Your Eyes, instrumental. It's a pretty
This
song.
is the one with the cool guitar on the chorus.
Yeah. It's a pretty song. I'm going to bump it up a little bit. So now I'm going to go ahead and look at, in the users table, get the user ID for Cypress, since that's what we're going to test with first. And maybe to cover both scenarios, we might demo what it looks like to have Cypress pull down records directly from the database and then intercept it with a fixture and replace that so that we're able to stub it out in scenarios where Cypress cannot contact the server. That gives us potentially the ability to run online and offline tests, either headlessly or with a database in place, which basically gives us two different types of tests. One of them is more of a unit test or an integration test against a mock data set, and the other one is more of an end-to-end test against the live production data set. So let's go ahead and grab, I need a user ID here for Cypress. And we'll make use of that over here. Refresh this guy. Okay, and then here we go. We've got a bunch here. So let's go ahead and enter some days that things were checked on. So we'll say that the first item in this list, avoiding screens, was done on a few different days here for this user. So we'll enter it for, we'll say, I don't know, a few different days. Oh. Doesn't like the spaces there, so I have to take that out. Okay, so there, we did it on the 16th for this user. We're going to do it on some other ones here too. Let's see. VieDay, why not?
Good choice.
Hope everybody had a good Pi Day this year. I pigged out for sure.
Oh, dude, I ate so much pie.
Can't do much better than Michelle's pie at the Norwalk. They've got some award-winning pie over there. Big fan. Free plug. They're not paying me. They should. I'll take some free pie. That's all I want. Okay, and here's another record that we're gonna go ahead and put in here. Some very epic music playing in the background here. Here we go, we got another one in there. Okay, and this one was done today as well, we'll say. And then we'll have one here that was not done on any day. And we'll have one here that was done. And I have to be careful not to jump over to my GraphQL tab while I'm streaming because I don't want to give away my keys. That would be bad. Then somebody could hack in and that would be bad. So just be mindful of that. And we might have to put off some stuff until next time. Maybe I'll just switch to a different tab and do it that way. Yeah, I think that's the way I'll do it. So let's go ahead and switch from here to... I'll go back to my camera here, and I'm going to go ahead and query and pull down this data now and see what I can see for this user. And I'll have to see what's going on with my computer. It's running a little bit slower than last time, I think. This guy is not moving too quick. I'm glad to see that actually it does mask my admin secret in case I am streaming. That was very kind of them.
Cool feature.
Yeah, so let me see if I can why don't we jump back over to this window and want us to take a guess at what we're looking for here in this query.
I'm gonna guess we're looking for the timestamp of the created to-do, or when it was checked, rather.
So yeah, we're definitely going to use that. Let's do them one day at a time. So, why don't we say where the date checked is equal to today. Hopefully that format works okay. And we do need the ID. We do need the action ID, but actually, why don't we just get the action details? We don't need the checked on date necessarily. If we're already specifying that in the where, we do need the action's name and theoretically the priority, even though we're not going to use that right away. And we also want to query it only the ones where the frequency is daily. Yeah. So this actually needs to be an and. And this is one area I hope Asura is able to improve a little bit, because when you have to translate one and into multiple ands or multiple criterias, it gets a little bit obnoxious. But let's see. I mean, we could always do this in text and save ourselves a little bit of trouble in a minute, if we really need to. We don't need to specify the user because we're already specifying that when we send the query in our headers. So we want to make sure that the frequency is daily. Let's see, action, and did we include a frequency in our action schema? It looks like maybe we didn't. Let me see. So checklist actions should be tied to a frequency. It's getting cut off here. I can't see it. There we go. Yeah, it is. Okay. So these all should have a frequency. I don't know why. Maybe I okay, where action frequency is daily. Okay, so now we're looking for all records associated with this user where the frequency is daily and the date is today, and the data that we're looking to read out is the name and the priority. And is there any other data we care about? What do you think, guys? Description?
Yeah, I mean, the description, do we also want to include the timestamp? Is that...
We actually aren't storing a timestamp. We're only storing the day when the user did it.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, that's all I usually go. It's not a lot of attributes to those rows, but besides those, at least that are relevant to the actual list itself.
Cool. And so now we can see that for this date, we do have a data set, and it looks kind of like this. So we have a query now, and we can call this get and what else do we maybe want with that? What are all the possible ones that could be potentially chosen as well? So you know, we can actually get that in a separate list without taxing ourselves at all, and just say, also give me a list of checklist actions. Now this is useful because with the way that the permissions are written, this will show us all of the ones that were created globally, but also all of the ones that are available for this particular user. And I guess part of what's cool about GraphQL is now you've got a list of all the things that they could potentially check in addition to all the things that they actually did. And in that case, you probably don't actually need all of this additional information over here. In fact, it makes more sense then to move name and priority over to here and limit the subset of data that you're pulling in underneath items that have been checked for a particular user. So let's just get ID and action ID for each of these guys. Because if it exists in this query for this day, then it's checked. What's it doing? Run and slow, that's what it's doing. Now you guys know why it's taken so long to get this far. Although it definitely runs a lot slower when I'm streaming. Cool. So now we have our IDs, which are going to be used if we need to toggle these out, essentially by soft deleting them. Or no, we decided we're just going to completely delete them if we wanted to remove them. And then we've got the action IDs, which we can correlate to this other list over here to get our list of items and maybe a description if we wanted to add like a tooltip to them as well. So I like this. I think this is probably the right signature of a GraphQL query to use and the right kind of response that we would want to make use of. You guys with me so far?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Sorry, I'm on mute again.
All good. So now I want to take a look at the signature of the data that I have stored in my data access library here. I think I may have some code in here corresponding to GraphQL already. And I think I wrote a generator function or something like this to create hooks and stuff like that. I tried running this again, and I got some errors that weren't there when I did this originally. It's been so long, and I wasn't streaming back then, so I don't really know how the hell I did that or what it's doing. But it did create some automated hooks. So I guess I'll have to circle back and figure out what the heck I was doing over there. Because I don't think I documented it terribly well. Let me see what I was doing over here. Try and get some context. No pun intended. And I actually should switch over because you guys cannot see what I'm looking at.
Nope.
So yeah, so here I have some queries here, and this thing automatically takes the stuff in these queries and generates schema and mocks and stuff for it, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and drop our query that we just created in here. And I don't expect the command to work because I tried it the other day and it wasn't doing what I expected it to. It's been probably anywhere from 6 months to a year since I last used it. But let's go ahead and add we'll call this one daily checklist. I'm not actually sure, since I don't know what library I was using to generate this stuff. We got to tokenize this somehow. I'm not entirely certain syntactically what the right course of action is for that. And it looks like I'm already getting a whole bunch of errors. It's weird because I'm not seeing anything like that on... Okay, it's actually comparing this, I think, to schema.graphql. And that's why, because in the root query, it's not listed here. Wowee, this thing's smart. Okay, so... what do I need to add here? I need to look under root types. Go ahead and switch windows again so you guys can see I'm going back over to Hasura here. Okay, so I think I need to potentially import some of this data here. And we talked about this before, that there should be a command for doing this, because if I'm doing it all manually, it kind of defeats the purpose of using Hasura. So let's just try and copy this and see if that's something we can do readily. See how this works here. Switch back over to IntelliJ for you guys. Okay, so let's move up here a little ways. Okay. And then this guy over here, where is that gonna go? I think I don't know. Just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here.
This is how you get wild on synthetic there, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so let me see if I can see any of the other places where I'm doing that by PK here. I don't actually see any other things quite like that, so I'm not really sure how well this is going to work or not. We'll see. I'm wondering where... Yeah, because it doesn't recognize any of these checklist actions, select column, any of that jazz. I'm wondering if there's anything here that I missed. Let's see here. Feature roles, all this jazz should already be in there. Features. Frequency we need. Okay, and these guys all need to be called type. Okay, so I can hear my old friends from some other shops yelling at me again here saying, hey, bud, all this stuff is not related to the feature that you're building. And that's a fair argument. You know, those guys taught me well that, you know, none of this bull honky malarkey that I'm working on over here has anything to do with the feature that we're actually building, and potentially is just gonna make it more confusing when we go to do a pull request. So keep that in mind. You know, sometimes maybe it's not the best idea to do all this right away. I know that a lot of these are things that we're going to want to add in pretty soon. So for that reason, I kind of want to just get as much schema out of the way as we can. Although it is clear that I think a lot of the stuff here is not formed correctly, or I'm doing something wrong here. Bool exp order by select column. Let's see here. I'm honestly not really sure what to do with that. I think maybe there's another section here that I'm not thinking of that I have to double back on and add. So for now, let's go ahead and put a pin in this, and we'll circle back to it tomorrow. I'm going to do a little more research and make sure that I know what I'm doing before we go any further with the GraphQL stuff. I'm glad that we got some records in there. I'm glad that we have some beginnings of a schema here, because I think we are going to need that pretty soon. But before we get too much further here, let's try and figure out what the heck we're doing. That way I'm not wasting anybody's time. But we're getting to a good stopping point for today. So I think we're going to call it for now. You guys with me so far?
Yeah, man. It's been a little while since I've played around with GraphQL, but I'll make sense to me.
Cool. Yeah, and we'll probably grab all of this stubbed data on the right here with checklist checked and checked action and stuff there, and make use of that in a mock pretty soon as well. So those will be our next steps. All right, fellas. Well, as always, thanks for tuning in. Happy St. Paddy's Day, and we'll catch you again in the next one.
Peace.
Happy St. Paddy's Day, boys.
Yeah, likewise.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah, take it easy.
Peace.